Now, y'all know I love a woman who walks into every room knowing exactly who she is, why she's there, and who she's speaking for. And today's guest is the very definition of that. Alencia Johnson is a powerhouse at the intersection of politics, pop culture, purpose, and public engagement. She's an award-winning strategist, a best-selling author, and the brilliant mind behind Flip the Tables, the Everyday Disruptor's Guide to Finding Courage and Making Change. Y'all, it's a must-read. If you've ever felt like the system wasn't built for you, and if you know we can build something better, grab the book. I'll have the details in the show notes. But understand that Alencia is a legend in this space. From the Obama re-election campaign to Planned Parenthood's national office, from Senator Warren's bold policy rollouts to shaping how Vice President Harris reached the culture, Alencia has been behind some of the most influential movements and messaging moments of the last decade. She's also the founder of 1063 West Broad, where she's helped everyone from Warner Music to advocacy orgs to Forbes 100 tech companies tell deeper, more impactful stories that connect to people's values, not just their wallets. She's the woman behind #StandWithBlackWomen. She's the one who reminds brands and campaigns that you cannot just market to us. You have to stand with us. You know who I'm talking to right now. We don't go there anymore. And she does it all while staying grounded in her faith, her roots, and a commitment to legacy that makes her not just a change maker, but a culture shifter. Alencia Johnson is here, y'all. And baby, I hope you have your journal ready because this one is about to bless you. Alencia, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm a nerd because I'm so excited. I cannot believe you're here. Listen. Okay, let me try to be as calm about this as possible. You are almost like the Olivia Pope of brand. People don't know the people that you have worked with. We only know the ones that don't have the deep NDAs. There's extras, and I know it.
Yeah, there are, and I probably can't say.
You can't say, but that's what I'm saying. People don't even know that, literally, when people are looking for messaging that is not going to be just impactful, but actually changing the world, you are the first call. Everybody knows you.
Thank you.
I can't even believe I'm. This is me breathing the same air, y'all. That rare air. Give me. I'm just trying to get some, okay? Because what?
I mean, it's really funny. I'm so glad that you said that because I'll show up in different events or conferences and I'll run into people I know and they're like, well, what are you doing here? And I'm like, what? I can't really tell you why, but also why is that your first question? Oh, right. You should be in these different rooms that might include, I don't know, sports or entertainment or even tech or whatever it may be, because I think people, and that's actually part of the reason I wrote my book the way that I did, people like to put me in a box because they see me on CNN and MS Now talking about news of the day. I don't. The orange man.
Specific things. Yes, that guy.
And so they want to put me in that little box. And I'm like, oh, that's just a little sliver
in a
of what
microcosm.
I do.
Because the real stuff you do is the stuff where it's I think I just saw Alencia Johnson get into a car in the back.
Yeah.
I'm like, was she at this conference the whole time? What was even happening? It's she was in the green room making sure that people stayed on message. What is happening right now?
Well, I think the cool thing about what I get to do with brands and organizations and people, influential people, is that they understand that society is going through something and they want to figure out how to respond to it in an authentic way that makes sense for them, right? And some of these folks can't really go super hard on this administration because there's federal policy that impacts their organization. And at the end of the day, we actually do need these companies to stand up. And
it's a smart and calculated strategic balance.
Absolutely. And having the ability to kind of navigate those spaces. My very first job that most people don't talk about, I talk about a little bit in my book, was working for GEICO's corporate communications office.
Not the lizard.
And and I'll be honest, I hated that job. For those first 2 years, I wanted to be in the energy and I wanted to be in President Obama's first administration.
And then you did.
Yeah. And then I got to work for his reelection campaign. But then fast forward to the work that I do now. And actually, even before then, there are organizations I've worked with, even Planned Parenthood. There are campaigns I've worked for that are like, oh, you know how to actually navigate a corporate room, a corporate
Mhm.
boardroom, which led me
Mhm.
to my work with Warner Music Group Social Justice Fund Board starting in 2020. And so that kind of balance and ability to, I don't want to say be a chameleon that I like lose my values, but
Sure,
like speak
sure.
the language of different rooms to get to the same solution. At the end of the day, it's about liberating Black folks, it's about
Yes,
freeing women,
yes.
it's about making sure underrepresented groups who are the global majority
Absolutely, but marginalized.
but marginalized in
Mhm.
this nation are reflected in these institutions' work. And so you got to figure out how to get into those spaces and speak their language. But
Mhm.
I have a very clear goal. And at the end of the day, they know what I'm about, right?
Absolutely. Like, I think that if
They know what
anyone
I'm
is
about.
calling you up, they know what they gonna get,
Exactly.
and that's one thing that I love, and I think what is exciting is in your book, y'all, like, and I'm not kidding when I say flip the tables, read it, because it is, if you like my content, you will, this is content that is practical. This book is applicable. It just makes sense because Alencia is someone who's out there living and breathing the stuff we talk about. It's the intersection of, applying your faith-driven values, but letting it show up in every place in your life in the way that makes the most sense. So that's what's different. That's what, like, honestly, I could talk to you corporate all day, all
Hmm.
day. That is like, I'm like, tell me more about this thing. But in the interest of my friends here, I want to talk about how we gonna do stuff ourselves, right? It's Black History Month. I've been telling everyone that you should be listening to Black women. If that is a one thing you can extend to us at this point, I don't want the high five or the, Harriet Tubman cake or whatever the hell y'all were thinking. Okay. Like, I don't need the discount. I don't need none of that. What I want is just listen to what we're saying and apply.
Yeah.
And you are such a great resource for that. So the first thing I would want to know is if there was one thing that you could zap into everyone's brain right now about what it looks like to be a disruptor, right? Because you've taught this, with major dollars on the line, like pivotal moments for massive brands like Apple, right?
Hmm.
What is one thing you would want everyone to believe right now that is an actual truth around their ability to be a disruptor?
Yeah, I think I think it's a couple of things coupled in one. One, we've like conceded power to the people who are in position, but they're in a minority, right? It's actually the people power. And if we lock arms together, we can actually overturn this entire system. Now, it's going to take more than an election cycle. And, the white Democrats that I work with often think it's by election cycle. And I'm like, it takes generation. But in order for us to build this people first grassroots movement, we have to do this radical notion of getting to know our neighbor.
Wait, what?
Because
Tell me more about that. Not I have to know people and their needs and
right.
their wants and their positioning and their
Yes,
hurts and their heartaches and their story in order to be able to advocate for them and by extension myself.
exactly.
Please tell me more about this novel
Well,
concept.
it's interesting because we are so connected
It's also
because of
sounding
our
a little
phones.
biblical. I don't know.
It,
Is
I
it
mean, it
just
might
me?
be.
Love thy neighbor, know thy neighbor. It's
Love
feeling
thy
a little
neighbor.
biblical. I don't know.
Listen, my dad's a pastor, and
Oh, so
so
it's just slipping in there. I
it's
see.
all in there,
Oh
whether I'm
my
quoting the
gosh.
scripture or the principle, right?
Not we had the
It's
answers.
there, right? Like we didn't need
I
all
didn't
these other
even
things.
we had the answers.
But I found, and there's research that shows we are so quote unquote connected with our phones and social media, but so isolated and alone. And chaos and isolation and distractions are all tools of the oppressor. They want us to feel alone, and yet we live in these high-rise apartment buildings and don't even know our neighbors
Not
next
at
door to
all.
us.
Not at all.
But if you knew your neighbor and listened to their story, actually explored a bit more about who they are, just get like curious. Right? Because we're also not courageous enough to say, I don't know something, but I want to learn more about it. But imagine the power of once we understand who our neighbor is, and then our other neighbor is, and then, oh, you actually might be out there in the streets trying to protect your neighbor, right? You
Mm.
actually might realize that, oh, I didn't think voting was important until I talked to this person I pass every single day in the coffee shop and understand that they are working 3 different jobs, barely
Wow.
making minimum
Or
wage
sleeping in their car
or sleeping in
while
their
working,
car.
you
And
know?
my
Yeah.
goodness, SNAP benefits were cut, but these billionaires' pockets are being lined. So it really
Mm.
takes us getting curious and getting actually, it's amazing how many people tell me get a little anxious meeting someone new.
Well, I mean, listen, social anxiety is real.
It's so real.
That was gonna be my next question, right? Are you talking about just like knock on the door and take them a pie? Like, what are we saying right now? Like because everyday disruptors, we're regular people,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think in an age where almost busyness is celebrated, it's kind of like a
Yeah.
thing now where everyone's like, I just don't have the time and I'm so busy. And
Totally.
are you saying to just go next door and knock?
Literally.
Or, and which
Well
is first let people know where you grew up because I feel like that's part of the answer,
I did, right. So I grew up in Virginia.
Yes.
And then my mother's side of the family is from Southern Virginia.
That's right.
And so, yes, we were knocking on the doors. My grandmother was sending me to the neighbors to take her pie and get the sugar and all of those things. But I realized how imperative that was. My late grandmother, talked about her so much in the book, Mrs. Ozella Miller Bennett. Her name's not in history books, but she marched with Dr. King. There was no kid in her church or community that went without Christmas. There was no one that went hungry because she knew her neighbors.
There was a responsibility to each other to like take care of your brother.
And that's a lesson from Black folks, right?
It's how we
are
when
communal.
I tell you, so let's pause on that for a second. Because I think that that's something I want to just kind of dive into for a moment because I've been having this conversation with my husband. Now, my husband's white. He's Hungarian. And so, which in Black History Month, like I feel like I should issue an apology for, like a disclaimer. So I don't know, like in the notes, hashtag, I love him. What can I say?
I mean,
right?
look, he's good to you.
He is good to me, okay?
Yes.
And he gets it. But I will say, we were having this conversation about as Black women, there is a cultural, and again, we're not a monolith, right? And it's important. I'm not speaking for all Black women in that way, but there appears to be, in my experience with Black women, a awareness, a connection, a responsibility towards each other, a care, that I am being informed, from my inroad to the white community, right? My husband, that he's like, I don't know, that's not like that.
It.
So, and that, I mean, not only is it shocking to me, but it's showing up in so many places. Like, for instance, I love my in-laws, they're great, but culturally, I had my baby, at 40, my mom moved in.
Of course.
And and until my mom was able to come, I had 15,000 girlfriends who were like, I'll come stay a week, I'll whatever. And even so much, like some people are like, well, that's family, or that might be your family identity. No. If I had my baby right now and there was a Black woman here, I could be like, hey, sis,
can you
hold her for a second? I need to go to the bathroom, or hey, can you whatever? And I know that some people say moms do that for each other, but I mean, truly, it's the offering, that opening, and even to adjusting one's wig, not just their crown, like, hey, I can see your lace.
Listen,
it's a real thing.
Your lash is falling off.
Your lash is falling off because I want you to look your best.
That's
and
right.
it's independent of me.
That's right.
When I see a Black girl out on the street and she looks gorgeous, literally 2 words, come on, legs, come on, sis. Okay, hair. Like, and I realize that other races, ethnicities, cultures, communities, they don't seem to share in that.
Yeah.
And that isn't even taking a pie to your neighbor. Can you tell me a little bit more, at least in your interaction brand work, what that is? Because that is the culture.
Yeah. I mean, it's the culture and it's also ancestral, right? Like it is in our DNA, and in a society that doesn't want to see us, Black women in particular, particularly here in the United States, when our ancestors were brought here either to labor or give birth to labor, right? And all of our humanity and dignity was stripped away. There is this, I believe, ancestral responsibility to say to a Black woman in whatever form that we can, I see you. So I see you with this child, and I'm going to actually hold your baby so you can catch your breath. Or I see you are looking great, and you know what? You're going to walk into that room, and because all of the people, including these white women, are going to be so intimidated by you, I'm going to make sure that I tell you that you look great.
Yes.
Right? And so the more that we continue to empower each other by telling our sisters that we are seen and taken care of in a world that does not do that for Black women, it actually forces society to stop and take notice.
Yes.
Right?
And by design, too.
And
if you think about the way that slavery stripped our families and tore us apart, by extension, if I saw another Black face, they were family.
They are family.
And they could have been family because we did not know, because that was robbed of us. So I really do feel, and while I say, again, we're not a monolith, when I see another Black woman, like, and I walk into a room, and, I say this for some of my listeners who I have, a very diverse body. You may not know this, but when I walk into another room and I see another Black woman, I'm like, great, sis is here.
And I
Instantly.
feel safer.
I feel safer.
Yes.
Like I feel
Yes.
safer, and not safer as in we expect a fight to pop
Of
out or
course.
whatever, but I know that if I need something
Yep.
or if something were to come up, I
That's
know where
right.
to look to know that my odds of getting help
Yeah.
are much higher. And I've heard from
Yeah.
white women that they do not feel that.
Well, and especially if you think about it, going into a situation and you see one other Black woman
Mhm.
and you speak up
Mhm.
and everyone's saying something about, and it's maybe not even be contentious, but it's just
Mhm.
something different than what everybody else had to offer. The majority will dismiss it, but that
Yes.
Black woman will
Yes.
say, no, actually, let's go back to what Nicole said.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I think that's why,
Is that a way to be a disruptor?
that is a way to be a disruptor. I talk about that. I think folks look at being a disruptor as having to have a massive platform,
Or a sign
a
out
lot
in
of
the street.
money,
Yeah.
or a sign out in the street. But there are ways to do it just in your meeting or actually at the dinner table when someone's perspective isn't heard, right? Or just looking up. I know we were talking about what are some everyday ways to get to know people. Get in the elevator, actually stop scrolling your phone, look up and say hi to somebody. Have like eye
Connect.
contact.
Just connect. Be
with
human.
people,
Humanity. Yeah.
right? And that is what I think we do really well as Black women, which is why I think sometimes when our disagreements get aired very publicly,
I'm like,
I'm
if
like,
you don't
keep
pull
that
her
in the
aside, yes, girl.
house.
Like when I tell you, so Threads will be a mess sometimes.
Yes.
And I'll be on there. And the thing about it is you
I
were
love
similar.
you on Threads.
Oh, thank you. Threads Nicole is crazy, y'all. It's crazy. I love you on Threads. So I think one of the things that we really align on is we know a lot of people, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
between, also like, let's be clear, if you are a Black woman between like 35 and like
Hello.
55, we all know each other.
Yep.
1 degree removed, right?
Yep.
So when I would see people going in, most of the time I know either one or the other
Mhm.
party. Girl, the way I'll be in people's chat being like, hey, not too
Hey,
much.
yes.
I'm not joining the crowd and I'm not tearing it
That's
up.
right.
I'm pulling you aside to say, hey, this thing they're saying about you, this is where they're coming from. And I'm
Yes.
holding you accountable,
That's right.
but also letting you know I still got your back in this way. Because
That's right.
what you won't do, especially publicly,
Yeah.
it's kind of, I always joke, it's the same thing with my man. If someone comes up to the street and is like, well, I heard your man was doing whatever, we're scrapping. I never heard it.
That's
It wasn't
right.
a thing.
That's right.
I don't care if he did do it. But when we get back home,
The doors are closed.
the doors are closed.
Me and you.
Okay?
That's right.
That's it. And it's just so, I don't know if you saw this recent viral video, kind of speaking to that disruptor energy of
Mhm.
safety in a room, where it's about, I call it Black tuition, right?
Yeah.
Where, where Black women are able to look at each
Mhm.
other and it's a whole conversation, girl. You know what I mean? It's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Which is why I think it's so important, and I've spent so many times with so much time with my sorors this past month.
Oh,
Shout out to all the
sorry.
deltas.
I knew you were a
I
Delta.
mean,
I knew you were a Delta. When you
wasn't-
came in the red, I knew. And Deltas are a category, right? Like
We are.
If there was ever, I have several friends who are Deltas, and I keep being like, look, I just had a baby. I don't know if I got the whole pledge thing. If they're ever
Yeah.
looking for an honorary, I would be a Delta right away, because it's doing the work,
Yeah.
moving the business. Olivia Pope is a Delta. I don't care what no one says.
You know,
100%.
I would claim Olivia Pope.
I
Yes.
don't even listen. She's a Delta.
Yeah.
That is, I can tell. You know what I mean? I can tell, and it's like I don't know. I love me. I love the Deltas.
Well,
I love
they
them.
say we
great.
there's a way that we walk into the
It's
room.
an energy.
and we carry
But it's
ourselves.
also, it's a resume.
Yeah.
It's an energy. They're the girls who are in the boardroom, but also not afraid to be at the shelter rolling up their sleeves.
Absolutely.
And also will then ride back to their mansion. And then also are the ones who are moms. Like, shout out to the
Supreme
Deltas.
Court justices.
All day Supreme Court. It's just like
Mhm.
the range of Delta behavior. And that's also not to knock like AKAs and like all the others.
of
It's
course.
just that there's something about Deltas that I just
There's
very
a
identify
unique
with.
sauce.
There's
I
a
mean,
unique sauce.
2 months after our founding,
Yes.
our teenager founders marched in the women's suffrage parade.
Just very doers, I guess, is what
Very
I identify with.
doers.
And doers in a way that's familiar to me, that I think
Yeah.
a lot of Black women draw from and emulate now.
Absolutely.
That leadership piece. But so you saw your sorors.
And I was thinking about this thing about loving one another
Yes.
and sisterhood and the importance of stepping back sometimes and being like, when have I not been sisterly? Because at the end of the day, we can disagree. We may not like each other all the time individually.
Or at all. That's fine.
Or at all.
Yeah.
But collectively, we have to be on the same page when it comes to Black women holistically.
When I tell you,
right?
one of the things I always say to Black women whenever they're
Mhm.
like, thank you so much for like lending your platform, or thank
Yeah.
you for reaching out or saying a kind word. I'm like, oh no, you need to understand, a world where you thrive is the one that my daughters are safe in.
Exactly.
I literally do not,
Exactly.
if it is a world where I'm okay with you being cut down and diminished,
Yes.
you can guarantee
That's right.
my daughters won't be safe.
That's right.
So frankly, it's like, even when I
Like,
look
we don't
at
have to be best friends.
no, I don't even have to like what you do.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, there
But
are
I
some
love
women
you as a black
as
woman.
a black woman, and that supersedes everything.
Yep.
So even if I can call you in and say things like, hey,
Yeah.
sis, like the way you were, like I've done episodes here or chats where I've talked about black women who were in their 40s dating athletes who are 22. It's a behavior I do not co-sign, and it is something that I actually think isn't becoming of us as black women, you know, like I don't, or as women in general, like, or also of men. It's the same standard, right? Like, what are you doing, you know?
Yeah.
But not to imply that there isn't a one-off and, you know, whatever. But I have no problem calling that out. But it doesn't mean that I would ever, if there was a situation where she needed something or helped, or it doesn't diminish her, but I am in her corner.
That's right.
And even if she loses her man because he's 22 and it doesn't work out, you can still cry. I'll put you back together, sis. And I'll say, now that you've learned,
now you together,
get back out there. You know, exactly.
But, you know, I think I take this
thing.
approach, black women, absolutely, always. And I also take it broadly to black folks as a whole.
Oh, as a whole, absolutely.
And I remember in the 2024 election, they still keep talking about this. You know, black men are running towards the Republican Party. And I'm like, black men are still the second largest
Yeah, I didn't see
population.
that. I don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
The election results are not reflecting that.
The election results are not reflective
Was it like
of that.
74%, 72%?
No, it was like 80-something%.
It was 80-something?
Still.
Yeah, I was going to say, I knew it was up there. So
yes.
no. Yeah, no.
And I was actually, I'll never forget, I was on MS Now on a show talking about, actually Vice President Harris was rolling out her Black Men's Agenda platform, which I actually thought was amazing. We had
all
talked
of her
to
platforms
so many,
were very clear,
oh my
very
God,
well
so
articulated,
clear.
heavily detailed.
I mean, everybody's asking for solutions
supported.
now, and I'm like, y'all
Girl,
don't read.
they're implementing some of her solutions.
Absolutely.
Or I should say, let me not say implement. I'm sorry. They're popularizing some of her solutions.
Yes.
Implementation remains to be seen.
And so I'm on the show. It is a white woman anchor, a white woman reporter, and a white male Republican, you know, because they have the counter. And the two white women are having a whole conversation about how the Harris campaign is struggling with black male voters and
How?
it's such a problem. And they're just having this conversation. And I'm like 3 minutes in and I said, well, one, not even as the person who is advising the Harris campaign right now, as a black voter myself and the only black voter on this panel, I would like to say that's not the data that we see, right? And so I'm just up there like going back and forth with them of like, what you will not do is talk about my brothers.
I believe I've seen the clip.
Okay.
I believe I've seen the
now,
clip. Girl,
granted,
that's Googleable. Okay, I just want y'all to see.
Now, I might get off camera and call up, like, I can't believe you did so-and-so to one of my homegirls. But like, what you're not going to do public is talk about my people.
Yeah, not at all. No lies.
And that's my posture.
Absolutely. And I think that that's something that I'm just going to, you know, just being completely transparent. Sometimes I wonder if that is the problem, you know, not that it's my job to figure out why people don't like us, because frankly, it doesn't matter, right? You know, but say I could care less, right? Like it doesn't change my right to exist or my right to have peace and joy and love and safety. But sometimes I wonder if when you talk about knowing your neighbor, it's not just about us doing our work, because we've been doing the work, right? It's also about people getting to know us.
That's right.
You know, and instead of looking at us and saying, why are they so calm and comfortable?
Yeah.
How are these? I mean, literally people will see two black women who meet each other for the first time at a party and be like, do you guys know each other?
Oh my
and it's
gosh,
like, oh
girl.
no, we just met right now. We started talking about her lip gloss color because we're both wearing Boss Lady from Lip Bar, and we realized we both know so and so. Like, and they're shocked that we have this instant connection. And sometimes I think that there is, for lack of better phrasing, an envy, a jealousy, and a confusion, a curiosity, and all of those things can be resolved by what you're saying right here, which is getting to know each other,
and also putting the community interest over the individual.
Ooh, please. Expand.
My first full kind of understanding of politics came when I was probably like 14 or 15. And one of my cousins, she says to me, she's like, look, when Democrats are in office, my taxes are a little higher. But you know what? The schools are working. The roads are fixed.
People aren't getting shot in the streets.
Yeah,
small details.
Right.
Small details.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it to me showed, and I'm not saying Democrats are perfect. There's a
whole lot. And that's the other part too. People think that black women, because we
don't think Democrats are perfect.
Listen, we are not sitting here
but
saying
we also
everything's
don't
right.
we don't wrap our salvation up in a politician. I mean, my savior's Jesus.
Amen. I was about to say, I was like, savior is one word that can be applied one place.
Exactly.
Okay?
And so I will elect the person who's going to mitigate harm. Right?
Give me a chance to fight another day, please.
Exactly. And I can push a little bit further. And yeah, I'm actually okay with paying more taxes if my neighbors are taken care of.
Yes.
But what I have found is there are a lot of white people who don't believe in that.
Which is also crazy. As someone who is high net worth, I can tell you right now, when people don't have, they break into your house.
That's right.
Are you dumb? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
That is what keeps communities unsafe. When people don't have food, when they don't have homes, when they don't have access to jobs, when they don't have education. That's actually what makes communities unsafe.
Real facts.
So, like, instead of, I don't know, putting all of these police in underrepresented groups and in communities, why don't you actually give folks opportunity? Because I don't see a police presence in some of these gated communities that have all of the resources.
Not at all. Well, the understanding is, I believe that some people think that, well, if we give people a little bit, what if they want what we have?
Right.
No, you'd be surprised. Most people are very satisfied. I think about this all the time when, as somebody who has employees and, runs their own company, I'm not cut out to be an employee. Right.
Yeah,
like,
same.
It's just like I got hardwiring issues there. Yeah. I can do it. Right. We both have. But, it'll be short lived. You know what I mean? It's not something for forever. But knowing that, it can sometimes be hard for me to understand that other people want to be employees because I'm like, that's just not my ministry. But no, I know lots of friends who are like, I'm happy to clock in. I want to mind my business. And trust, I have my days. I miss PTO. Okay.
I miss somebody else taking care of
somebody
the insurance,
else decide.
all of these
somebody
other
run that
things.
check, please.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
It's like, so understand the same thing applies in the broader world.
Yeah.
Lots of people just want to go home to their families,
Totally.
have their regular lives. They are not interested in having the mansion. They don't even want to live in your stupid neighborhood with your big old lawn and your ugly decor.
They actually just want to be left alone. It's so interesting because I feel like white supremacy makes it their business to mind everybody else's business.
When I tell you.
But their own. And I actually think the problem is because of how this nation was founded on stolen land violently with enslaved people, I believe that there are white folks in power and with a certain mentality who believe that if Black folks and marginalized folks are liberated, we will treat them the way that they treated our ancestors.
That is a true statement, just because even when we said Black Lives Matter, they thought we meant only and not two. They genuinely didn't think we meant also.
We literally want to be left alone, but give me all of the things that I have a right to as a human on this earth.
We're willing to work, not give.
That's right.
Not even give.
Right.
I just want to be able to show up the way that you show up.
Exactly.
Give me what you've got on a bare minimum.
That's right.
That's all. I just want to feel safe walking down the street. I want to be able to have my kid play with a toy gun. I want to be able to drive.
Literally.
That's all.
I want to actually be able to, I don't know, there was this young woman who has turned around in a neighbor's driveway and lost her life.
I just want to be able to go pick up my son. I want to be able to have stuffies in my glove box.
Absolutely.
I want to be able to, protect someone while protesting and know that that's not an issue.
I want to be able to have a child in this nation, the wealthiest nation in the world, and not worry about, regardless of my socioeconomic status, me potentially dying in childbirth.
I would like to raise my children.
Yes.
Without them being taken from me and without me being taken from them.
That's right.
Yeah. And that is something that only some of us in America worry about waking up and having every single day.
Oh, we do. And it is so frustrating for me because when I look at some of these policies coming from the other side of where I'm at and where we're both at, it's like, if you actually just minded your own business, what I'm doing in my household is actually not harming you.
Not at all.
And if our society was fully functioning and everyone was able to live up to their fullest potential, we would all be thriving more, right? But there's also a piece, I guess, because I'm a person of faith and I don't believe in scarcity. I believe there's enough for everyone.
Yeah. Well,
right?
But also I think that is, and I definitely want to address this because that's not just a faith mentality.
Yeah.
And I say that as a Christian as well.
Yeah.
Even if there wasn't, I serve a God of he doesn't lack. What is lack?
Does not lack.
I don't even know what that is. So since I already know that as a God girl, the reality also is there's enough. There is actually enough.
If I am still living, there is enough.
There is enough. Well, no, and also there's enough money. There's enough money. There's enough land.
Money.
There's enough water. There's enough everything. There's enough jobs. There's enough.
That's right.
And one of the biggest lies that we're constantly being told is that there is lack. And if you see someone else with it and you don't have it, then that was your share.
Exactly.
And that is a lie of supremacy, of patriarchy, and it's all a setup to keep us under control.
Well, I mean, it's why they divided, right? They try to continue to grow a wedge between Black folks, Latinos, poor white
Oh yeah,
people, working class,
colorism, all of
all
it.
of that, which is
Mhm.
why I actually think the labor movement is extremely powerful
Mhm.
because it
Well, tell
is
us more about that.
truly
Some people don't know what that is.
yeah,
Mhm.
the labor movement. So if you've heard of
Mhm.
unions, it is actually for workers. It is multi-generational. It is
Mhm.
multiracial. And thank God for the labor movement. It's the reason that we have a 40-hour work week. It's the reason that we
Absolutely.
have a 5-day
Safety
work week.
protocols.
It's the
Yeah.
reason
Mhm.
why we have, yes, these
Fixed
safety
wages, rates,
protocols.
all of that.
Now, granted, a lot of those laws need to be updated
And the rates need to be
and the
updated and
rates
things are
need to be
outdated.
updated, but it is
Mhm.
able to organize across difference
Mhm.
around a common goal, which is I actually want to work and my work produce enough for me to actually take care of my family. And to the point
Yes.
that you were making, taking care of my family doesn't always look like what these billionaires think everybody. Most people don't want to live like
They don't
that.
even want that, or even if you visit that world, you don't wanna reside
Yes.
there, you know what
No,
I
it's
mean? And I
no.
think that it's interesting, a lot of people don't know that a lot of the labor unions and the labor
Mhm.
movement, they tend to err on the side of liberal, you
Yeah.
know, people that they elect, and
Yeah.
so we're saying the working man who is
Yes.
actually out there working does not tend to support, you know, a wealthy
No.
administration
No.
because they recognize that they cannot identify with their needs,
No.
you know, and definitely tend not to advocate for
Yeah,
what they
well, and that's
desire.
why I think it's so imperative that, one of the largest unions, SEIU, the International Union, it is spearheaded by a Black woman right now.
Ooh, so you said one of the largest labor unions, which one is it?
SEIU.
Yeah, you said it's headed by a Black woman.
Yes,
It doesn't
get
surprise me
prepared.
because SEIU, they cover, home care,
Yep.
healthcare, janitors, child services, childcare, massive. We're talking millions of
Yes,
people, and
millions
this
of
is a Black
people.
woman who's leading this organization.
Absolutely, who's able to understand how to move this movement intersectionally, right?
Mhm.
And I appreciate in the pandemic, we've seen this rise of unions, right? And I talk a little bit about it in the book and how we saw the folks who had unionized at Amazon, but we
Mhm.
also saw, we're here in California, we also saw the Hollywood strike.
Absolutely.
And the interesting thing is that there were a lot of people who would be in my DMs and they're like, I
Mhm.
can't believe you're defending
Oh,
that
yeah.
strike because they're all wealthy millionaires. And I'm
Mhm.
like, actually,
First of all, the coins ain't coining the way people
the
think they
coins aren't
coin, okay,
coining.
in this industry,
And
first of all.
majority of SAG-AFTRA, members are barely making a living
Barely. They
wage. Their
have supplemental
production, their
jobs.
crews, right?
Mhm.
That's why you meet so many people who are baristas, who are
Yes.
also trying to be gainfully
Yes.
employed in this industry. But what it did do was take culture and
Mhm.
force all of us
Mhm.
to pay attention to something that's happening. So then you've understood a little bit more about the union. So then when you show up at a hotel and they're saying you don't have housekeeping because the housekeepers are on strike, I actually don't stay in hotels
Yeah,
that
same, I don't
are
cross that
actually, I
line.
do
I
not
do
cross
not
the
cross the
picket
line.
line.
Mhm.
But when I've seen, I don't know how I got on this, but I was literally looking up a hotel just to make sure, are they on strike or not? I want to
Mhm.
make sure. And so I'm looking at the comments of this one hotel. It was here in LA. They were on strike, and there were a bunch of comments that said, "Oh, this is so
Oh, so
annoying.
inconvenient. I know
It's
exactly which
so
one you're talking about because
inconvenient."
also like, in terms of visibility, it's in a
Yes.
place where people could really see it, and people did not like
Yes.
that.
And I'm like,
They were like,
"Oh."
"Traffic." I was like,
I'm like,
"Not
"God
you mad at traffic."
forbid."
I was like, "Your daughter one day could
That's
be working
right.
in that hotel. Your daughter," like,
Yes.
I guess sometimes I feel like, and this is a common conversation amongst Black women, and I want you to also understand the heart of what we're talking about here with Alencia is the fact that, you know, Black women are disruptors by nature,
Yes, we
you
are.
know, and not by choice all the
That's
time,
right.
you
That's
know?
right.
And so one of the things that I think is a common attribute of disruptors that you discuss in this book and you've also discussed
Mhm.
as a platform is the ability to be forward thinking,
Yeah.
you know? So knowing that things have changed, right? We just
Yeah.
discussed about where we're seeing a lot of change in the past maybe 5 years or so. Uh, where do you see this going?
Yeah. I'm
Give me hope,
hopeful.
girl.
I'm
Give me
hopeful.
hope.
Listen, I have to remain hopeful, which is
Yes.
why I have to, believe that if I'm waking up every single day, God is not done with the work that I'm supposed to be doing.
Amen.
And I think that that is how we all should be looking at this. But I talk a little bit about this in the book of the vision of a beloved community from Dr. King and what that looks like. And you have to have vision in order to sustain yourself through hard moments. You're not going to win every single battle.
Mhm.
Absolutely not. And what we're seeing right now, I tell folks, they're like, well, you're really calm in all of this. I said, well, because part of their tool, one of their tools is to distract us and overwhelm us, so we can't stay laser focused. And the
Mhm.
reality is, I'm not going to be able to stop everything.
That's completely.
But what makes me hopeful is my parents have a food pantry and they help unhouse people in their community. They do so much. It's an
Oh my
extension of their
gosh.
church. And I went to a town hall. It's in this rural area. I went to a town hall that my mother was speaking at. There were these angry white folks there who were mad about the SNAP benefits being cut. They were mad that the free lunch
Oh, so
programs
this
were
was
gone.
recent.
This was recent. And they asked it was like the heads of the food pantries that were all talking at the town hall. And one of these older white women said, "Well, what are you going to do if ICE comes to your organization?" My mother was like, "We don't let them in."
That's right.
And that right there gave me so much hope. We're not going to be able to stop everything. And to be honest, the system wasn't designed for a lot of us.
No, not at all.
We were
Not at all.
not part
Not at
of
all.
those founding fathers. They're not my founding
And
fathers.
yeah, and also
Their
being clear,
constitution.
they also didn't even anticipate all
They
this.
didn't anticipate
They
all
were
of this.
counting on us getting smarter, and they were
Right.
counting on us evolving, and they also counted on us being aware of what was done to create America.
right.
So naturally, you try to preserve it, right?
To try to preserve it, but also continue to adapt with the times.
And it
right?
also seemed like there was more, even though Black people were not part of that collective interest,
Yeah.
there was an awareness of at least assuring the interest of
That's
the
right.
nation collectively,
That's right.
And that's not what exists anymore.
That's
There's
right.
so much self-interest,
It's so much self-interest. But, it was seeing that type of community come together.
It still exists.
It still exists, and that is what's going to get us on the other side, because as the system wasn't designed for so many of us, there are things within it that I'm actually okay with it actually crumbling.
That's right.
And in order to be, I always say this, I want to be the phoenix rising from the ashes. We so often focus on being the phoenix, but in order to have the ashes, something's got to actually burn down. Something's got to shift. And so I'm so clear-eyed on, this is bigger than an election cycle. This is I think a societal revolution for America. I don't think America deserves a birthday party this year for 250 years.
Not you punishing the kids.
Listen,
You say you're not getting presents this year.
You're
I don't
not
care
getting
what you
presents.
did. You get nothing.
No, not you.
No, don't even ask.
America needs, like I was about to say,
Time
America
out.
needs a whooping, but
I know. See, it's like we
I'm
can't even
country.
help it.
I'm country.
It's so funny. It's so funny because we don't even whip it. We're the evolved country, right? We're not out here
I'm
whipping
not
our
even
babies,
whooping.
And yeah, we need a proverbial whooping.
That's
okay,
right.
that's what
Like,
it is.
America, you need to go sit and think
Go
about
sit in
some
the corner.
things.
Yes,
But that is what I am so laser focused on, the vision setting and the building of what's possible, and what are the community interventions, right? Like, what can I control? But they over there cannibalizing themselves. I mean,
sure.
if we see
That's
what's
true.
happening in Minneapolis, and my God, like, God rest Renee Good
Yes,
and
Alex
Alex
Peretti.
Peretti,
Mhm.
and also what has happened to Don Lemon and
Oh,
Georgia
yes.
Fort and
Everywhere we
the
turn.
activists,
Mhm.
everywhere we have turned. And shout out to our sister who protested the church. She flipped
That's
over
right.
them
She
tables.
sure did. She sure did.
But when I look at what is happening in Minneapolis and then the response, and it's interesting to see the NRA and these Republicans who are like,
It's
wait,
just
this
very
is too much.
difficult to maintain a lie.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I think we all should be comfortable with and in knowing, right?
Yeah.
And that's biblical as well.
That's
if
right.
you tell a lie, you have to manage your
That's
lie.
right.
You all have to be on one
Uh-huh.
accord. You have to make sure your action is consistent. And so
Yeah.
the longer you're empowered, the longer your lie can unravel.
right.
And
That's
that,
right.
I think, is what we're witnessing in some places,
Yeah.
is that, the blinders are coming off from some people because they're saying to themselves, this isn't in alignment.
No.
You're not delivering and doing the thing you said you would do.
Exactly.
So here
And
we are.
the thing about, and I hate that, again, Minneapolis has become an inflection point.
Yes.
But I mean, Prince did say the revolution is going to come through Minneapolis,
Sure did.
right?
Sure did. And then he left.
And then God, he left, right?
I'm like, I know he's watching because
Ugh.
his faces too. I know he's watching like,
I know, honestly, and I know this is a little tangent,
We
but
love him.
I love me some Prince.
Yes,
I
love
actually got to
him.
go to Paisley Park Studios.
No, you didn't.
When he was alive.
No, you
At
didn't.
the Black Journalist Conference.
Oh, see.
And he came in and he had
No,
DJ
the
there.
aura. I bet the room shifted.
Oh, totally.
I can't even imagine.
And then I got to go see him when he talk about a revolutionary when he put on a benefit concert for Freddie Gray in Baltimore.
What?
Yeah, and then he
People
died
don't
the
even
year
know, though. People don't
People
even know
don't
how
even
he moved.
know.
And what's wild, also,
Yes.
didn't age. What was that?
I know, Black
Perpetually
don't
the
cry.
same. It was something
And
different.
the sexiest man in heels and a head
Which
wrap.
is so uncomfortable, by the way. Why do
Yeah.
I feel that way? What's wrong with me? I'm okay with
Yeah.
it. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So
But what I was saying about Minneapolis.
Yes.
Yes. But I think that encapsulates Minneapolis.
It does.
The people
So
of
many ways.
Minneapolis,
Yes.
they do what needs to be done.
Yes.
It was an inflection point in 2020.
But they keep showing up.
And they keep
picking
showing
the wrong
up.
city. I'm gonna be honest. Y'all keep take these people out to Iowa.
Absolutely.
Take them out. If you're really trying to start a problem, go in the middle of farmland and see what happens. You know what I mean?
And they actually, I feel like this administration knows that.
They know.
But they
know.
didn't think it was going to actually backfire as quickly as it did. And I believe that we are going to continue to see this groundswell of folks all over the country who are paying attention to what's happening in Minneapolis and also doing the things that Alex and Renee were doing, which is standing up for their neighbor, which is doing the thing that Don and Georgia are supposed to be able to do and supposed
highlighting
to protect
and taking those places
under
we cannot
the Constitution.
Go. Yes,
absolutely. And so I'm hurting because we are losing people, right? Whether it's because people can no longer afford healthcare, or you drive through a rural town and they'll say the hospital had to close because of that big ugly bill, and then someone has to drive 2 hours to get to a hospital, or we're seeing the immediate effects of it. At some point, the question becomes, I'm still losing everything, but can I still subscribe to this lie? And am I realizing that it's not you over there that's taking everything from me? It's these freaking billionaires who have taken over our government. I mean, I was reading something that Donald Trump, his wealth has increased by
$3.3 billion, girl.
Billions.
3.3
since he's come back in office.
And it's one of those things where, you start wondering, look, if there is a finite amount of money in the world, all you need to think to yourself every single day is it's just shifting hands.
Yes.
And so that is encouraging to me as a business owner, because I'm like, oh, my billion's already out there. I just haven't collected it, right? Not that we don't need more billionaires. I don't need a billion. But my point being is the money's out there.
Right.
So if someone's wealth increases by $3.3 billion, don't say they earned it. Where'd it come from?
They did not earn it.
That's all you have to ask. Where'd it come from?
On extorting people.
Where'd it come from?
And it's taking away from your community, from your child's ability to get access to healthcare.
And you should ask that
education.
question.
Absolutely. And why are we also praising billionaires? Nobody needs
we don't
to
need billionaires.
be a billionaire.
We don't need billionaires. Nobody needs it.
Which is why I had an issue in the 2024 election when there were so many people who were upset that Vice President Harris had put now granted, rewind, Senator Elizabeth Warren was just like, can we just tax billionaires like 2 more cents?
Yeah, just a little bit more.
Like 2 more cents.
Listen, sometimes I be feeling like people are too reasonable. Like, I'm like, 10 cents is okay. 10 cents is okay. Like, can we just get billionaires to pay taxes?
Hello?
Can we just do
and
that?
Stop hiding money.
Why am I in the same tax bracket as Zuckerberg, but I pay more taxes than him? The math ain't mathing on that. It does not make sense.
But the other piece, too, when Vice President Harris was rolling out some of her plans, there was one about taxing the wealthy. And it started at if you made $400,000 or more, right? And then it was sliding. And I would go around to some of the swing states and we'd have conversations about it. And folks were upset about it. And I was like, majority of y'all in this room will never see half of that.
Y'all are one paycheck away from SNAP benefits, but you're mad about somebody taxing a billionaire. And
so that for me has just crystallized how well the messaging has penetrated our society, that most people in the United States, I guess that's part of the reason people come to the United States.
Rags to riches, the hope.
Right? It's the hope. They think they are one opportunity away from becoming a millionaire. And I'm like, majority of people would be okay with just being able to purchase a home.
I can tell you, as someone who has, been both sleeping on a couch, completely poor, child of immigrants, first generation, and someone who is independently wealthy, multimillionaire, rich is better. I'm not gonna lie. It's nice to have enough. I'm never gonna wealthy people try to tell you, oh, my life still has struggles, but no, it's significantly better. I have less struggles.
You have less stress.
I have less struggles than other people. I have more options. But what I will also tell you is the amount of money I needed, the point where my life changed, is nowhere near what you think.
That's right.
It's nowhere near where you think.
That's
you
right.
don't. Once you can make a couple 100,000,
Mhm.
you're fine. You
Mhm.
have options. Like, I'm not
Absolutely.
living that differently. Just also the people who follow my brand know, like, I still shop at and do my own grocery shopping. I still
Mhm.
clean my own house. If you're like a normal person where money's not really gonna change, you just wanna be able to pay for summer camp and not stress, know that you're not worrying about a medical bill, knowing all this, you don't even need
You
$1,000,000.
don't you
You
don't need
don't
half
even
a
need it.
million.
You don't
You don't
even need
even
it.
need if
You
you
don't
don't
even
live
need
in LA, New
Yeah,
York,
you don't even
DC,
need
you
it.
don't even need
You don't even need it. You don't
200,000.
even need 200,000 to be
So
perfectly
yes.
comfortable and have
So the fact that
options.
people were, like, low income
Losing their
folks
mind
were losing their
because they thought you were
minds.
taking away their chance, their
Yeah,
belief,
but
their
actually
opportunity.
taxing those wealthy folks will give you more
It'll give you
chances.
more chance and your children more chances.
And your
So
children.
so knowing all of this, if there was one thing we could leave people with,
Yeah.
right? If there was one action item that will
Mhm.
allow them to not just, observe this world, and
Yeah.
keep going because you're a God girl, you get it, like to keep that hope, but also take their place as a
Mm.
disruptor, what's the one thing you would hope that they would do?
Mm. I know it sounds so simple, but it is so hard to continuously show up and speak up as yourself and what you believe in. So many
Mm,
people dilute who they are, they dilute their beliefs because they don't want to shake the table. They don't
mhm.
want to shake the room. But that's why my book starts with disruption of self to give you the confidence to tell your story. Because if you think about it, Professor Anita Hill shifted the entire world when she told her story about Clarence Thomas,
Mhm,
right? Then fast forward, what happened? The Me Too movement, the groundswell was because ordinary people told their story. But
mhm.
you've got to find that courage to actually do that. You've got to find that courage to walk in a room when you're going to be the only and actually say, I made it into this room. So the thing I have to say is actually going to matter. I think for me, what I have found is, and I've always been unapologetic about my faith.
Mhm.
But especially now that Christian nationalism
Girl,
is violently taking over this
we
nation,
gotta show people what Jesus actually
we
looks
have to
like.
show him what it actually we have to show the
Yes.
world what he actually looks like, what it looks like to be Christ-like, which is to be a liberator and a lover of people,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Just those 2 things. And if I worked for Planned Parenthood. Do you
Mhm.
know how I didn't realize it was so courageous to be walking around here talking about I love Jesus and
Oh,
advocating for
yes.
abortion rights? Because I
Oh,
I didn't
yes.
think that was they didn't work together, because for me, they do, and that is who I am.
Mhm.
And so I share that because, again, people think it takes platforms and money and relationships, but it really takes the courage to be authentically yourself
Yes, completely in all rooms, in all
in all
ways.
rooms,
Mhm.
because as we were kinda talking about earlier, sometimes for Black women, just showing up in the room, not even saying anything.
Girl, just it's the black to it looking across the room, like, so I can't tell you how often I've been in rooms and I've
Yes.
seen crazy stuff happen and being able to look at the other black woman and just be like, "You
Yeah.
saw that, sis?" And then and not say it, but we look at each other and it's like, "Girl,"
Yes.
and just having that moment, at least it's like some sanity protection
Yeah.
because 'cause you're like,
Yeah.
"Okay, so what they said was crazy, right? Okay,
Yeah.
we're good, right?"
Well, and then I've
You
walked in
know?
rooms where I've been the only and folks have shifted around. They're like, "What? I
Mhm.
guess we can't say the thing we wanted to say because
Mhm.
she's in here."
Mhm.
The other thing I'll just give a little tangible thing too. Understanding where your dollar's going. Do
Follow the
I
money.
I do miss my Sunday after church browse in Target, but
Aw.
I'm okay.
I was buying things for what? I
I'm
don't even
why
need any of that.
why?
I don't
Actually,
even
I should be saving
I
that.
don't need an ottoman.
I
Not
don't,
again.
because that's how Target would get
That's how
you.
they would get me every time. Ottoman
Yes.
and socks. For
So
what?
so pay attention to the places that you're giving your money to and
Mhm.
either save it or put it into Black businesses. It's Black
Mhm.
History Month, put it into Black
Mhm.
businesses.
Yes.
And then 2, elections really do matter.
Oh God, please vote.
And I know
Please.
people focus on the midterms, so our members of Congress and our senators, they focus on presidential elections, but a lot of the laws that we actually are frustrated with are state and local.
Local. Vote for your superintendent. Vote for your judge. Vote
And the
for your mayor.
and those elections are won by like 10
Oh,
people.
10 people. It's the 11 same people who come out. They're the reason you have a pothole in front of
Yes.
your house. It's that simple. If
Literally.
you're mad at that, it was not
It ain't got
Obama.
nothing to do with yes.
Obama
Oh
is
my
not the
gosh.
one who came out and dug out that pothole in front
Exactly.
of your house.
Exactly. And if you are frustrated with the Democratic Party, I do actually wish that folks would get more educated about how parties work, because
Yes.
in some states you can't vote in a primary unless you are registered within that party.
But that's also why local matters so much
That's
too,
why
because
local
people don't pay
matters.
attention to
People
that.
don't pay attention, but look, I'm
Mhm.
a Virginia girl and we have a the first woman governor, who's a Democrat, Abigail Spanberger. We have a Black Attorney General, Jay Jones.
Well,
and
Virginia's changed a lot since I was younger.
And it's changed.
Okay, it's
Yeah,
changed a
it's kind
lot
of crazy.
since I was
It
younger,
used to be
girl.
like a swing state.
Oh, yes, it
but
did.
now it's like
Now
light
it's like,
blue.
oh, wow. I did not even realize. Very light blue. It's
But
very
because
light-
people have
yeah.
been organizing at the local
Absolutely.
level.
Absolutely. And also people have shifted and moved.
And people have
changed,
shifted,
so, yeah.
and then also they were doging through the federal government,
Yes,
and
they
a
were.
lot of people in Virginia
Yes, they
work for
were.
the federal government. But there's also the Working Families Party
Mhm.
that does a lot of good work of
Mhm.
really looking at candidates that are going to enact policies that actually work for working families
So you're
and
saying
working
engage.
people.
You're saying, look,
Engage.
recognize that instead of deciding what your party wants as
Yes.
dictating your decision, look at the policies and look
That's
at the
right.
people supporting the policies
Yeah.
because that's what's going to really create change
And
for you.
realize that, like, even if you don't vote, you are paying their salary.
Oop.
So you're paying taxes.
There's that part.
You're literally paying somebody to work for you, and you're not engaging. But also, to your point, engaging doesn't stop at the ballot box. It actually starts at the ballot box, but it continues when you're holding them accountable in office. Make those phone calls. And literally write those letters, show up to those members' offices, show up to the superintendent meeting, the city council, the school board, all those town halls. Go in there and demand what you are due. And I know people talk about that all the time, but like there's a reason that my ancestors during the civil rights movement, even before, the Black women that marched in the suffrage march, knowing that if women get the right to vote, it's still not going to be, it's still not going to include Black women until Jim Crow was abolished.
That's right.
But they knew that voting in this nation was a first step towards holding our policy leaders accountable to what they're doing to our communities. And so we're literally conceding that power. It's
our one thing we got.
It's the one thing we got.
Let's use it.
So.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And not just for this conversation, but for this book, for being an example, and when I say example, not just for me as a woman who's trying to figure out a new way to disrupt and be in this space and be more boldly myself, but also for being a woman of faith and for my daughters, for the work you do every single day. It really does matter. I've got 4 and, and I pray to leave them a world that's better than the one I was privileged to grow up in,
same.
and you're a part of that. And I'm grateful. Everyone, Flip the Tables by Alencia Johnson. The book is incredible. It is a manual. It's perfect for gifting. The young people need to read it, so get one for your kids. All the details will be in the show notes below. And Alencia, I will probably be like tapping you to come whenever we can to talk.
Let's do it.
Not just MS Now. Okay, I'm trying to get into my little journalism bag.
Yeah,
So
let's do it again. This is
I was
fun.
like, but only if you let me have that blazer. If y'all don't see what she looks like, follow on YouTube. You got to see this, okay? Because she wants you to know she's a Delta.
Yes, I wear that crimson and cream very boldly, and I'm an active member of my sorority.
What aren't you an active member of? Okay. Oh my
Listen.
goodness. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.